What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and the US men's national team December camp and Bosnia friendly roster had just been named, and I gotta say, it's a pretty decent looking squad. A couple of really exciting young players I want to see, a couple guys who would like to see get experimented with, and a couple of deadwood pieces, but hey, it's an MLS roster, you can only get such a good squad, but yeah, a lot of players I'm really excited about. So just getting into it, the players I'm really looking forward to is, and the main thing, Jonathan Gomez. He does not commit to the national team with this call up, but this is the first time he's accepted a senior call up for the U.S. men's national team, and it's definitely a good thing in his recruitment battle. I mean, I don't think you can say Jonathan Gomez playing for us is a bad thing. I mean, it's really nice to see him in the team, and hopefully this will lead to him sticking around. Also, sticking with the defense, a couple of exciting players. Justin Che, he's probably the main one who looks really good, and Bryan Reynolds is in the team. I mean, that just about ends this Roma campaign, I guess, but I don't think you can complain about that considering he wasn't going to play anyway. Good to see Kobi Henry after a pretty solid Revelations Cup. Kevin Paredes in after a good season with DC. Interested to see how Auston, Trusty, and Lennon can do. And yeah, those are a couple guys I'm pretty excited about. In the midfield is definitely the weakest part of the team. Cole Bassett, I'm not too high on him, but it is going to be nice to see him get some playing time, see if he can impress. Johnny Cardoso, see how well he can do, see if he can reclaim that backup six role from Kellyn Acosta, because Acosta's got that job kind of by default. Tanner Tessman's really knocking at the door, but I feel like Cardoso can put his hand to that claim. And going forward, we got a lot of exciting attackers. Taylor Booth, Caden Clark, Cowell, Ricardo Pepe still on the team. Good to see Jordan Morris back in form. Hayes Ferreira in there as well. So yeah, a lot to talk about with the squad. In goal, so starting with the in goal, and it's actually very interesting. Matt Turner is still in the squad. That's expected. But as backups, we have Gabriel Slonina and John Pulskamp, which I think is very interesting. John Pulskamp, he hasn't been getting too many appearances for Sporting Kansas City, but he's a very exciting player. I've talked about him a bit in a goalkeeper video a while back, but it's going to be good to see him play, good to see him get some time. I'm not too sure if this will really mean too much for him. We have similar situations where we gave call-ups to CJ Dos Santos and Chitaro Dunce, so I wouldn't expect this to translate to him being in the national team full time, but it's good to see him in the team. Gabriel Slonina, nice to see him as well. Didn't have the best Revelations Cup, but still, starting in the MLS as young as he is, really, especially at goalkeeper, you got to get him in the national team. Great to see him there, and Matt Turner as well. So Sean Johnson, he's unavailable, or as New York City FC are in the MLS playoffs still. That's going to explain the absences of a couple more players down the line. And it seems like it's the end of the era for Bill Hamid. I mean, I don't know. I like him, but yeah, I can definitely see why we're moving on. Now for defenders, we got George Bello. Good to see him in the team. Interesting to see George Bello with things I'm going to talk about later, because a couple of guys I feel like aren't in the squad because they have potential moves coming up, or that's at least the explanation that I can think of. Those being Georgie Melhalovich, Kyle Duncan, and Daryl DK. A lot of D's in that list. But George Bello is in the squad. So reading into it a bit too much, which yeah, probably shouldn't do, but I think that's why you're here. Maybe George Bello is going to be staying with Atlanta for another season. I haven't seen many rumors about him. Galatasaray links in the summer, I think, but I don't feel like he'd want to make that move. But maybe George Bello is sticking around. And it should be noted that Miles Robinson as well is not in the squad. He's probably the biggest snub I can think of, but again, if there are possible moves coming up, maybe that's it. Because I know Kyle Duncan, I feel like we'd have him in the squad over someone like Brooks Lennon, and he's not available for this right now. And I know that he's moving to Belgium. Then similarly, Georgie Melhalovich, he's got I think it's a trial in Bologna, I believe. Daryl DK's been linked with a lot of moves to England, so maybe that's the reason why they're not in the squad. So, I don't know, just throwing that out there as a possibility. Though that doesn't explain Justin Che being in the team, with him being linked to Bayern perpetually, but hey, definitely not going to be mad at Justin Che in the squad. He's a very promising player. Probably the best potential center back we have outside of Chris Richards, our highest ceiling player, so really like to see him. Jonathan Gomez, already mentioned, great to see him. Kobi Henry. Henry Kessler, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too high on him because I feel like he's just a worse version of Walker Zimmerman, but he has been impressive for New England this season, so it's good to see him get rewarded. Brooks Lennon, man, he's someone he was really on my radar back when he was at, I think, Liverpool, but he kind of fell off. Kind of similar to Kyle Scott, who's at FC Cincinnati right now. But hey, he's been playing decently for Atlanta, and if he can impress, that's definitely good. I mean, I can't see him playing over Bryan Reynolds or even Justin Chat right back, but hey, it's good to see him in the squad. Aaron Long, nice to see him back from injury. We'll have to see how good he can be, but I don't know. Don't see him being too exciting. With the amount of center backs we have, we might do a back three. I can definitely see that. Kevin Paredes, Jonathan Gomez, I feel like they can do a wing back role. Brooks Lennon as well. So maybe that's a possibility. Kevin Paredes, great job. Great to see him in there. He had a great season for DC United. He was better than Paul Arriola, and I'm just noticing that Paul Arriola is not in the squad. I did not notice that earlier. That's good to see. But man, Kevin Paredes, he looks really promising, and a left back is not a strong position for the national team, especially with Jonathan Gomez being kind of 50-50. So really good to see him in the team. Bryan Reynolds, man, we know how exciting he is. We know how good of a prospect he is. But Roma not been the greatest situation for him. We know Jose Mourinho and young players. But, yeah, I'm expecting him to get a loan out, and it's good for him to get playing time right now. So I like to see that. Auston Trusty is the guy who I was really looking forward to seeing in the squad. Because I want to see how good he can do at a national team level. Because he's a very good left-footed center back. He can play out the back pretty well. And he's a good athletic defender. He's been doing a good job for Colorado. I'm not sure if those skills will translate to a higher level, but this is the time to experiment with the squad. This is the time to test that, because if it can, Auston Trusty is someone we could look out for on the national team radar, and someone I could see moving abroad soon. And Walker Zimmerman, we know about him, definitely wanted him in the squad. He's a solid defender. That's all there really is to say about him. Now, going on to the midfield, definitely the weakest part of the squad. Kellyn Acosta, I mean, he's just a defensive midfielder. He's not going to do anything going forward aside from he can hit a dead ball pretty well, and he's good on set pieces, but he's just a defensive midfielder. Someone you bring on late in the game to break up counterattacks, and he's not going to do anything offensively. Cole Bassett, he's been looking pretty good for Colorado. I'm not completely sold on him, as I mentioned before. I don't feel like he's someone like Brandon Aronson, where they just broke the league and now they're definitely ready to move on. I feel like he's still got another year. I feel like he hasn't had that breakout year yet, but it's definitely good to see him in the squad. He's a good young player. Johnny Cardoso, again, mentioned him before. Hopefully he can be a more complete six than Kellyn Acosta. Him and Tanner Tessman, I really want to see one of them overtake Acosta for that backup six role. Cristian Roldan, I mean, he's a decent MLS player, but he does nothing in the national team. Like, especially in that wing position, in the center of the midfield, I really don't see how anything good he does. The only other player I could see really wanting over him is Alan Senora. I mean, we did call up a lot of players, but he's just not a very good player. And Jackson Yueill, he's back, I guess. He's just not good enough. Not good enough defensively, not good enough on the ball, but yeah, he's back in the squad. Some other snubs I wanted to mention. I talked about Kyle Duncan possibly due to him leaving. Aaron Ferreira for the defense with Real Salt Lake still in the playoffs. That's probably the reason why, as you don't want to call him out of a playoff team. Leon Flock as well. He's another guy still in the playoffs, so he didn't get a call up. And DeJuan Jones. He's a left back. I would have liked to see him in the squad, but I can't complain about us calling up Bello, Paredes, and Jonathan Gomez over him. So, yeah, it is what it is. Now we're going on to the forwards, and we got a lot of exciting players. Taylor Booth, he's at Bayern Munich too. He's had a couple of good moments. He had a decent showing in the preseason, I believe, and he looks really good on the ball, and I feel like he's probably going to impress this camp, but I'm not too sure how close he is to the Bayern Munich first team, but hey, this is a good time to bring somebody in. Caden Clark from the New York Red Bull, interesting to see him listed as a forward. He did play as that. People were calling it a false nine. He was just kind of playing a nine, though, in the Revelations Cup. So interesting to see how he can do in that position. But Caden Clark, he's someone we really want to see. We know how good of a player he is, so I'm expecting him to do really well. Cade Cowell, man, again, really good player. Really high ceiling, but he's got to improve his technique before he can really take his game to the next level. And hopefully this camp is part of that, because we see a lot of players, they can raise their level of play in a good environment. And when you're playing with the best of the best in your country, hopefully that can bring the best out of him. Jesús Ferreira, I'm really hoping we try him out as a 10. I don't feel like he's ever going to be good enough as a 9 for this national team, But as a 10, I'm really interested to see how he can be because he has looked good. Jordan Morris, interesting to see how he can return because, we know his potential. He's a good CONCACAF player. Against bad opposition, he doesn't lower his level of play. He's like a high floor player at his best. So it is good to see him back to full health, especially with how injury prone our wingers can be. It's good to have an option who we know will come in and not, Paul Arriola it up. But, good to see him back in the squad. Probably not a long-term player. I don't see him making the World Cup team, but if we get there. But, hey, I'd like to see him. Ricardo Pepe, our number 9, we're just playing him so he stays in form. Great to see him here. And Jesús Artis, we're past him at this point. I would like to see Daryl DK over him. I'm going to get back to my theories about that, but hey, Jesús Artis, it's not the end of the world. I don't know. He shouldn't be in the squad, but whatever. So now going off the rest of the snubs, Alan Senora in the attacking midfielder type player. I was expecting him to be in the team. I thought I saw something where he was going to be called in, or we were at least looking at him. I disappointed to not see him, but again, it's not too big of a loss. I'm not exactly high on Senora, especially in his position. We have guys like Julian Green, Luca De La Torre, Gianluca Busio, who are all backups who I feel like are I rate higher than him, but it would have been nice to give him a showing, especially with how weak our midfield is. Georgie Melhalovich, he really should have been called into the team, given his really strong season, but I'm taking his absence as it's probably a sign that he's getting a move, or at least looking at a move. I've seen rumors of him training with, I believe it was Bologna, and I feel like that takes precedence over the national team camp for him. So I'm okay with it should he have something planned. Similar with Daryl DK. He's been kind of perpetually linked to a move for an English team that's about 30th to 10th best English team. He's been linked with a lot of them, be it good championship teams or lower level Premier League teams. Crystal Palace linked with him. West Brom. I think they have his old Barnsley coach. I've seen Leeds. So if he's getting linked there and a move is possibly brewing, I'm fine with him being left off this team. But if that's not the situation, he definitely should have been called up. And that's about it for everybody who I feel like is snubbed. Miles Robinson, there's probably a reason why. Georgie Melhalovich, I think there's a reason why. Daryl DK, I feel like there's a reason why. But yeah, it's still a very strong team. I'm interested to see a lot of these guys play, and I really like the squad. That's all I really have to talk about with this team. Looking forward to that Bosnia game. Hopefully we get a good win. It's not a strong Bosnia team. And yeah, that's all I'll talk about right now. See ya.